What's going on YouTube? Mike with iHeart Knives. Today we're going to go over the Edge Pro Killer. So what makes the Hapstone K1 fixed angle sharpener the Edge Pro Killer? Well, it's fixed angle. There it is. No, I'm just kidding. Alright, now let's really talk about why it's the Edge Pro Killer. So, it is fixed angle. You have wings that clamp it in. You have a separate one that you can put on the left or right if you have a longer knife. This is just the center clamp, and it just gets tightened down. Same with this, and then whatever the thickness is of your knife, you tighten it to that, and that's it. It flips just like the KME does. You can raise the arm up and down. That's how you figure out, what angle you need. There's a button here that you can stick your angle finder on. Whatever your angle is, it'll tell you. So it's got good reach. I did put a drill collar stop on this, so you can go to like the hardware store and you can get just a cheap collar stop. And I'll grab the calipers and tell you guys what size it is quick. Just hold on one sec. It's a 1/4 inch rod. When you get it from Hapstone or from Gritomatic, it will come to you like this, and you'll get this little Allen wrench. You'll get this Allen wrench, but it's not like your typical kind, it's a screwdriver. And you will get one of these clamps. You won't get this second one. So let's get into why I chose this over the KME and why it's the Edge Pro Killer. And the big reason why it is right there. KME and Edge Pro stones, and you can use both. What more need I say? KME capability stones, Edge Pro capability stones. Gritomatic also makes their own stones. So these are Gritomatic's diamond resin stones. There's a resin impregnated diamond solution that is put onto these aluminum plates, and this is really the only complaint that I have about this system for the most part. If you try to use these plates, and these are made by Gritomatic, which is who makes the Hapstone, and you try to use it. Now this is in here pretty good, but it will just wiggle itself out. And I've tried to put like pretty serious pressure. You can see here the spring is almost compressed all the way. It doesn't compress much more. That's the space I have right there. I'd say it's about 1/4 inch. So how much more can I compress it? Well, I can't. So how do I get it tighter? Well, you can't. So unfortunately, these in use are not practical. It's fine. I freehand sharpen, so it's not a big deal. But that's really my only complaint. I wish that those diamond resin stones had like the mitered 45 like the regular Edge Pro stones do. Now he might make regular diamond Edge Pro stones too. I'm not 100% sure. But the KME stones also come flat, but it does fit in here, and because they're fairly light, here, actually, I'll put it in here for you guys. So because they're fairly light, it's not an issue. And the spring is only compressed about halfway. And it's not falling out. So, all right. Why am I dogging on the Edge Pro? Well, the experience that I had with Edge Pro is, so the experience that I had with Edge Pro is the commercial, the YouTube videos on it. They look, you know, it looks awesome. I've seen really great edges come off of it from Apostle P. In use, the practicality of it, and I don't have mine anymore. I got rid of it. Otherwise, I'd show you exactly on it. But what you have to do is you have like a square piece of plastic right here, and you lay the knife on it like this, and it's supposed to sit there. And they recommend a magnet, which I tried. I did put a magnet, and it was pretty strong and it would hold. But so let's take the Southern here, which has a flat right here, and then it's hollow ground. The issue with the Edge Pro is it's a flat surface, and there's a piece that slides up and down that you put your knife up against. It's like an indexing piece. So you slide it up, figure out where the knife needs to sit. Well, a knife like the Southern, you only have this little square right here that's flat to put it on. So it'll tilt pretty easily, and that's like my biggest issue, is to get a really good polish and a really clean edge. It's a lot tougher with the Edge Pro, just because you have some variation like this, so you have to be really still with your hand. If you move it a little bit, it'll change it. That's my biggest gripe. So when you see all these like awesome edges and really high polished edges coming off like the KME and the Edge Pro, I always wonder, how long it took the user on the Edge Pro to get the same edge that someone on a KME can get probably on their third or fourth time using it. This Hapstone, the first edge I got off it was perfect. The Edge Pro took me probably about 5 sharpenings to really start to get it. So I would say the Hapstone is good for guys who don't want any, they don't want to fuss around figuring out how to hold the knife and this and that. If you have like any mobility issues with your hands and stuff, or are handicapped in any way in that regard, you have to be ambidextrous or close to it to use the Edge Pro, because when you go to use the other side, you have to hold it with your left and use your right hand to sharpen, and then switch and use your left hand to sharpen. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. So if you are handicapped in any way or have mobility issues in your arms or hands, that could pose an issue. So for me, it was a no-brainer, especially that they're basically like the same price. Yeah, they are the same price. The price right now on Amazon is $5 more for the Edge Pro than this Hapstone K1. And you basically get the same thing. You get everything you need to sharpen a knife. I didn't say it earlier, but in my overview video, I show you guys. I'll show you quick now just because they're already here, but you get 220, 400, and 1200. They're silicon carbide. They'll sharpen just about any steel, if not every steel. It's just, how good of an edge you get off of it. So you might have to just get a strap, like an Edge Pro strap. They do sell blanks for it too, and you could just stick a piece of leather and get, like chromium oxide or diamond spray or something like that. So it's not expensive to get into it. Once you have like your stones, if you do want to get like the Chaucer stones or like the Shapton Pro stones or Shapton Glass stones, that's where you can run into more money. The Edge Pro Matrix diamond stones, I would recommend highly. They're phenomenal. They load up a little bit, so you have to clean them out. That's the only pain. And they do have to be flattened, but technically you can use just like sandpaper to do it. They recommend either aluminum oxide, I think, or silicon carbide, like little loose granules with water. But realistically, you can just use a piece of sandpaper. That would work too. It's the same stuff. It's aluminum oxide, and you can get silicon carbide sandpaper too. So whatever the Edge Pro stone recommends, just make sure that you use that kind of sandpaper with it. And it's not a flat surface, obviously, because it needs to be flat. But for I'd say $100, maybe $120, you can get yourself like really set up with stones and straps on top of the initial cost of the K1 sharpener. And I looked into the same thing for the KME, and the KME, it would have cost me about $450, maybe even closer to $500 to really get going. And that's not buying, when you see videos of guys using it and they have all the polishing tapes and, Kangaroo with 1 micron or 4 micron, 3 micron, 1 micron, half micron, and 0.1 micron. They spent a fortune. They probably are $700-800 deep in KME products. So, if you're on a budget, this is going to do the same as the Edge Pro and the KME, if not do it better, for, I think, less money. The Edge Pro stones that they give you, I can tell you, are not as good as these Hapstone silicon carbide. These silicon carbide stones, they cut really quick. So that's just my opinion. This whole thing is my opinion. But this is why I think the Hapstone K1 is the Edge Pro killer, and why I'd put my money on this over the Edge Pro any day. And someone who's really proficient at the Edge Pro sharpening system, and someone who's really proficient at the Hapstone K1, it hasn't been out that long. That's why there's not a ton of, on it. But I guarantee if those two people put their edges next to each other, you'd get just as, the K1 is going to work just as good, and you're going to get just as good of an edge as any Edge Pro person can get, if not better. The only sharpener I think that's comparable is the KME. And if I was going to spend $700 on getting like this, ridiculous setup for the KME, I would get the Hapstone R series sharpener, which is it's like the TS Prof. It's like ridiculous. So this is a really good entry level. I wouldn't say it's a budget sharpener. It's not cheap, but it's not anywhere near as expensive to get set up as as a lot of other setups I've seen. So yeah, that's my take on it, why I think the Hapstone K1 is the Edge Pro killer. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments. If you have anything to say about it, I'm sure I'm going to get some hate for this. Say whatever you got to say. It's a free country. So give a thumbs up, like it, leave a comment if you want, and I'll see you guys on the next one. This is Mike with I Heart Knives. Later.